Now, in the last video, we excuse me, we discussed about changing of a font color, a combination of attributes, and changing a default font color in our web page. And in this section, in this lecture, we'll be talking about using our coding environment to paragraph our documents or our sentences. We will also show us what paragraph does in a sentence or in a document. We also talk about spacing between texts, the syntax we use, and the code or the tag we use to create a space between text in our website using HTML. We also talk about paragraph alignment, how to align our document that is housed by a paragraph tag to the right, left, and center. The paragraph gives us that room to manipulate the positioning of our texts. We also talk about the indenting of text. We also talk about the image in the web page. Remember, previously we talked about image on a browser, as in changing the background. We talked about background image and background color. Now we will talk about how to inject or how to create image in our web pages. We also talk about path of the image. When we talk about path of the image, it's just like what we told you about directories, where the images are stored. Once again, welcome to this tutorial, and follow us as we go on in our lecture. Now, for us to start, or for us to go into this lecture, I want to take out all the designs that we have. You see how our browser look like after the last page. What we could achieve is to italicize our hello world, make it bold, make our executive summary, and also give a line break. We also use the font sizes, font color on this our sentences. I want to remove everything here and set this sentence, set this document as it were in the beginning. And I also told us that we'll be making use of Microsoft Word in everything we do. We will concentrate in this paragraph section. We'll concentrate in this paragraph layer because it's more of what we will do. Now, to go on in I will just remove all the codes here so that we will make our design easy to understand. I will only leave the line breaks. I will only leave the line breaks and the bold. underline should be removed, and also leave the code in the body, because we want to override every other thing that concerns the default browsers, the default browser display. Now we talk about okay, I think it's better I remove this line break, because as we say, we'll talk about paragraph, as we know, is more of a giving our code the beauty. It's more of a beautifying our documents. Like, you know what happens when you want to paragraph a sentences in your document. If you're preparing let me give us an example of some documents that are on paragraph, and that is what we want to achieve in our design. And the first thing we want to do is to, so if you look at this is a header. This is a header of this, and if you look at these areas, you see this 10 executive summary is a header, while this Chidesen computer and the technology is a paragraph. So we want to achieve this thing in our design. If you look, if we save this after removing other designs, if we save this thing in Ctrl C, if we say Ctrl save, it will come back to what it were. You see, it has come back to what it were before. So what we want to implement now is the paragraph, spacing between text, paragraph alignment, indented text, image in the web page, and path of the image. Now to do this, we say that a paragraph is a tag used instead of a line breaks. Paragraph is a tag used instead of a line break to organize our web pages. When I talk about organizing our web pages, I mean giving spaces. It helps us to give spaces to jump in the next line. It gives us that beauty of jumping in the next line in any of our, when we are writing maybe when we are writing a sentences, or when we are writing a text. So for instance, at this level, we can paragraph each section of this story or this text here. We can have the header, the header 1, the header 2, the first paragraph and second paragraph. Now to do this, I will say, I think we should also discuss about the header in this section, because it's very necessary. We need to discuss it with when we are talking about paragraph, we also discuss about the header, the headers of our topic, the heading of our topics. So to do this, like what we know here, hello world, I should remove this hello world, because it's not really in this part of this document. So I will say executive summary is the header of of this document. Now, to add a header, we have different parameters of headers, and they are header 1, comma, header 2, comma, header 3, header 3, header 4, header 5, header 6, or let's just end in header 5. Let's just keep it in header 5. But we also have the 6th and the 7th header. So what we understand here, let me put it header 6. Header 6. So what we understand here is that the header 1 is bigger than the header 2. The header bigger than the header 2. The header 2 is bigger than the header 3, and the header 3 is bigger than the header 4. Likewise, header 4 is bigger than the header 6. So sometimes you see in a browser where, like what we see here, if you look at this header, welcome to Microwave Dreamweaver 8, we use header 1 at this point to implement these sentences you see here. Then at this place is from header 4 to header 6, this to get started. At this point we use a different header at this point, and all these things you see are in paragraph. All these sentences you see are in paragraph. So when we want to introduce, or when we want to implement this in our coding environment, like what you see when we say header 1, header 2, if we want this our header to be bigger, we'll say header 1 will close the header at this point. We close the header at this point. We close the header at this point. So for you to see the effect of what we just did, we will save and go to our browser and refresh. When we refresh it, executive summary. Sorry, we did not see what happened here. We left adding 1 here, and this shows that this header 1 has not been closed. That is why everything we did, everything in these sentences were affected by the header. So everything you see here is a header 1 and is in header 1 environment. So we add 1 here, that means that our header is closed. We go and refresh, you see we have gotten our header 1. You see, also see, we can change this 1 to make it header 2, and change here to become header 2. Control save, and you see that it is going down, as in the heading, the header has already reduced, because I told us that header 1 is higher than the header 2, and header 2 is bigger than the header 3. So you see that these sentences are coming closer because we are reducing the header, like what I told you in our document here at this place. I told us that this is likely to be header 6, like this environment. I told us that this is header 1 or header 2, while this is likely to be header 6. So going back to our environment, we can also change to header 3. Also change this one to header 3. And when we save, you see that what we have here is header 3. You see the heading are coming closer. The heading and the paragraphs are coming closer. Now, this is that about the header. For you to write a header, we can also nest or put an attribute to our heading. Our heading can carry color, it can carry underline. Also, we can also underline our header at this point. We can say our header is underlined. Our header is underlined. It can be nested. It is underlined. Our header is underlined, and when we save, you see that the header is underlined. Now, I want to use header 1 at this point because it will give us the picture of what we are trying to do. So at this point, you've understand what header does. Now, paragraph. For us to paragraph these sentences, we use angle bracket P, close angle brackets. Then we can come here and also close our paragraph. We have closed this paragraph here, and also we can put another paragraph at this point. We can put another header and put another paragraph, or put another paragraph at this point, then close the paragraph at the bottom. So when we save this point and go to our, you see that every sentence is here has been paragraphed. You see the shifting of each sentences. That is what we say, or what paragraph is all about. Now, we can as well, sometimes we can decide not to put paragraph in our web page. We can easily use a line break, but line break doesn't give automatic, and it doesn't give a clear picture of what we are using for. There is also a code that we call there is also a code that we say, for instance, a code like this, PR, a tag that is PRE. PRE ordinarily is just like a typewriting text, like we discussed before about TT, about angle brackets, TT, close angle brackets, and the closing tag. The difference, what angle bracket TT, the tag does is that it makes our writing to be a typewriting text. Just it is the same thing like pre angle bracket pre, but the difference here is that the pre gives us, it doesn't require tab, it doesn't require enter for us to jump to another line. Automatically it gives us what we want, the same thing we get from a paragraphing or line break. We say pre. It gives us the same thing we get from paragraphing our text. You see what happened here? You see how this thing jumped. Let me remove this our paragraph so you will see what we are talking about in full. So you will see what we are talking about in full. See where my pre is. If I save, you see that all the places I placed, all the places that has a shift, all the places I have a shift at, or I created a jump has a jump in this text. If I bring it together, you see how it look like, because I use this pre tag to control all the text that are inside this our environment. You look at what we are saying. You see, if I just have a space, because of this pre, if I just have a space here without including any tag or attaching line break or paragraph, it will show in our browser. The same thing will show in our browser. Look at it. So it doesn't need line break. What it just needs is for you to use the space to space a space tag to space your sentences. It works perfectly. It works automatically in whenever you want to do what you want to do. It doesn't need line break for you to define anything like this. But what I want to do, I want to show you some examples of paragraphing, or how we can easily attach, we can easily use paragraphs to design our text, or to make our text look more beautiful, or use it and position our text. So in this case, I will remove those pre-text and use paragraph, because we want to do some certain things with the paragraph. So at this point, I am bringing back the paragraph tags that we deleted before. So when we save, you see our sentences are in paragraph. So we go back. First, before we go into paragraph, I want to also show us the text, how to space, other way to space maybe this text, to give space from, maybe for instance, this Franklin integration requires, I can decide to space this text for it to give me a space like this. Ordinarily, if I click, if I save and go back, nothing will be done, because there is the code that we space them are not there. But there is a code that we use to space this, to create a space like this, a white space between two texts in our document. And that code doesn't have a closing tag, neither do they carry angle brackets. The code is simply like this. Sorry, the code is simply and NBSP and NBSP with a quote. It must carry double quotes. The quote must be there for it to actualize what it means. We say this code is used for creating more than one. It is used for creating more than one spaces in HTML web development. For instance, I can decide to create a space in between this limited and the requirement. What I need to do is just to place this space tag on it. And if I want to create, okay, let's just save so you can see what we are talking about. If you look at this point now, limited and okay, we should not make use of quotes, because the quote is, we are seeing the quote on our design. We remove the quotes. You can see that there are spaces here, but because we only give it one space, if you want the space to be more, if you want to give it more space, we can use semicolon to close each. We can use semicolon to close each one. For instance, we want to make 5 spaces. We use semicolon to close each one, and we will get the picture of what we are doing. Now this thing we just put here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. You will see that our space will be expanded more than, you see it, the space is increasing at this point. That is what this quotes does. I mean, sorry, this XNBSP or space between, that the code we use to increase a space between text does. We can also put it here. How anywhere we want to increase the space. In some cases, we use more of this space between text code in our table. You see, there is a space here. So that in our, just make sure you take cognizance of this code, because it's so important. In some cases, you would want to create a space between a table, or you don't want your table to carry any text. You can use that text spacing code to create the empty table when you want it. Now The next thing we look at is paragraph alignments. You will know that these are paragraphed, as you can see in this our code. If you look at what we have paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. Let me space it so that you can see it more. We have paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. So in this paragraph 1, we can decide to align the text in the right or center, and decide to align the text in paragraph 2 in the left. How we do it is just like what we have learned here. We come into the opening tag of the paragraph and put whatever we want to do in that space. We can see paragraph align. We can see P align is equals to double quotes left. We can say that our alignment should be left, and this one should be right. P2 align. Let me make it this one P2 and this one P1. Or if I pick P1, I should also no, let me leave it as it were. Just call this one P2 and P1. So we can say that this one should align to right. P align is equals to double quotes right. When we save and go to our browser, you see that this one has shifted to left, but this one is aligning to, shifted to right, but this one is aligning to right. You will see this picture more if these sentences are small. For instance, I can say at the end of this area, I can say Chioma, a paragraph. Paragraph, open paragraph, Chioma, close paragraph. Close paragraph, and then the second paragraph, I say second paragraph, Jute. This paragraph, Jute. Then close the paragraph. Then I go to the third paragraph. I say third paragraph to be maybe Davidson. Then I close the third paragraph. Now I will say the first paragraph should align to center. Align equals to double quotes center. Then this one should, let me just copy and duplicate. This one should align to left. Then this one should align to right. This should align to right. When I control save, you see the picture. You see how it is. The first one aligned to center, the second one, which is Jude, is aligned to left, and the other one is aligned to right, and they follow the picture. So that is what an alignment. We can also change the color of the text in our paragraph. We can say, let this text, the color, or we can say the background color, or the color, we can say BG color is equals to any color we want. We can say let it be any color we want. We can say let the BG color be anything we want, and if we save, you see that the color of this, what are we missing at this point? Okay, the BG color, the color of the text, should be the color of the text. We did affect it. The color of the text should give us, we will talk about adding color in our paragraph when we'll talk about it more when we get to our CSS. But for now, let's just concentrate, because I discovered that we need to use style to include that color. So when we get to the CSS, we will talk about it more. But for now, we will also talk about indenting our sentences. And when we say about indenting, we use block quotes. We use a block quote to indent our text, and this is when we want to those block quotes is used, when we want to indent our text, and what we mean is that maybe this text should stay out from the web axis. So if we say we want to indent this text, what we need to do is just to place a block quote. When we say a block quote look like this. Block quotes. A block quotes are this, then we close. Then we put our block quotes here. Block quotes. Then you close. Remember to always put your closing tag. It is very, very necessary that you use a closing tag. So if you look, this sentences has been block quoted, and it is giving us, it has left the axis of the browser at this point. If you look at what happened here, look at this one now, this sentence is here. We can also block quote it and make it leave the axis of the web. So what we do at this point is just to copy the block quote. This is the block quote here. Copy it and place it at this point. Copy the closing. Just make sure you take cognizance of these tags and what they do in sentences. it will help you to write or to make use of your HTML, or it can help you to manage any CMS program that you created your website with. That is the reason, because of those CMS programs that are there in our internet, it is very, very necessary you understand the rule and how to use your HTML perfectly for you to make use of those CMS program. So that is that in a quote. So in our topics, where are we? We indented text. We have talked about text indenting. We've talked about paragraph aligning. We talk about space between text, and we talk about indent, and we talk about, yes, we did not even write quotes here, but we have spoken about it. We talk about header. So what remain is image in the web and path of the image. Now you see that we've been working in this platform, in this our browser. We have been working with only text. We want to add an image in this our browser, and how we do it is how we add image is by, first of all, going to our page, our designing environment. Remember, when we say image in the web page, what we use those codes to do is to add image in our web page, not in the web background as we previously discussed. It is not in the web background. We are no more talking about adding like in the body, as you saw us adding image in this body. No, we are now talking about adding image in this our document. For instance, sometimes you will see in the web page where sentences are circling some image, or some sentences are in a different in the right position of the web page, while image stays in the left or in the right. We will discuss this thing more. We'll go more into it when we want to discuss, when we start talking about our CSS. But I also want us to learn it in this HTML tag uses or HTML coding, so that even if you are not allowed to use CSS in your platform, like some blogs will not give you access to CSS, you can easily use your HTML to add all those things. So when we want to add an image to the background of our body, what we use, the tags that we use to accomplish this thing, is the tag we call image and image source. It looks like this. The tag equals to angle brackets img, angle bracket img. You use space and say the source of the image. Source of the image is gotten by using src. Src represent the source of the image. We say the image and the source of the image. Then at this point we can say that our image is equals to so our image is equals to the we'll now call the parts of the image in this double quotes, like what we said before when we were discussing about image background, like what we said when we were discussing, like what we discussed when we were discussing when we said when we were discussing about adding image in our background. You remember that we told us that to get the image you can go back to the page, you can go back to the video. If you don't understand, you can go back to the video to watch it and understand what I told us about locating the source of the image. Like the image here, you must know the source of the whole image here by right clicking on the image. Sorry about that. You must right click on the image and go to property for you to know the source. You click on detail, then scroll to the image path. The image path is the file name, which is like on this one is ceow.jpg. The jpg is the file extension of this image, and that is what we use when we want to accomplish what we are doing. So for example, that we say we want to add this image at this point, what we do is that, for instance, we want to add image here in this quote. We can easily say at this point, we say image, we say angle bracket image space source is equals to double quote, and we locate the image. We are going direct to the image. Remember how we used the syntaxes we used to call that image at the when we were discussing on the body. Sorry for the break. Like what we were discussing, we say that if we want to add image, like for instance, I want to add image in this environment. What I do is just to use the syntax I showed us here. This syntax, image img space src is equals to, you now call the image. What I mean is that at this point like I want to include this image here. What I will do is to say angle bracket img space src is equals to quotes. Then I will now call the image the same thing we used before. Remember, I showed us the image source here. I want, for instance, to call this image here. I want this image to be, or this food to be there. Then what I'll do is right click on property for me to locate the path. That is the file name of the image, food.jpg. That is the file name. So what I will do here, the image is in a folder called images, and the part of the image is, the name of the image is food, while the extension is GPG. So what I will do, I will come at the double quote and say the image folder is called images, then it is, the image name is food, then it has an extension called JPG. That's all. When I don't know, I will close this. Remember, images, calling images. When you want to define an image, it doesn't have a closing tag. Images doesn't use what? A closing tag. They are defined on their own. It's a source. You are only declaring the source of where the image, the path the image is saved in your system. For us to have this thing, when we save, you see how the image will look like. You see, the image is big and it has displaced most of our text. So this image now is in the center of our text. It came after all this text. So what we do, we want in a situation whereby we can reduce the size of this image, and that is where adding width and height comes in. To add to image, always go with a parameter of height and width. Now for us to reduce this image, for it to be the same thing, to reduce the size of the image, for it to give us or to stay in our browser, we will say the width of the image is equals to any height we want to use. We can say 50. We can say let it be 50, the maximum of 50 pixels. You remember what percentage and pixels? Okay, we'll talk more of pixels and percentage in our CSS, but for you to know here, we use pixels and percentage whenever we want to define, or in this I don't like using pixels in only HTML code, inline HTML code. I prefer just allowing it to be like this, and I'll say the height of the image should also become equals to, the height of the image should also be either 45. No, let me reduce the height to maybe 20 or 30. Then if I save, you see that all these attributes will be attributed to this image, will be attributed, all these parameters will be attributed to this image. If we save and refresh, you see the image has reduced to the number we give it, but if you look at it, it is looking so ugly. Then we can increase the height, the width to be 100 and increase the height to be 90. For us to see the picture of what we are looking for, you see where the image is now located. We can also decide to shift this image wherever we want it to be. See where we kept the image and see where it is displayed. We can also decide to keep the image before our design. You can also decide to keep it here. Remove it at this point and keep it here. And the image will be before our Franklin, and save. When we save, you see that the image has come at this point. So that is how to include image in our browser. See, this one is not like allowing the whole image to be at this. So see the difference now. If I say let me put the image as the background, you see what will happen here. I'll just copy this place. You see here, I'll just copy this place as the background and place it here as background image. Background equals to, then I paste the image at this place, and you will see that it will give us what the background image will now show at this point. You see, we are seeing a background. You see the difference. The other one is a background, while the other one is placed in our document. That is the difference. We included the other one in the one that we want to be background, the background image of our website to be in the body, but this one is included in the document. And the difference there is that we use image source, that's CRC, to locate anyone you want to place in the body of our website is located by image source, but the part is called by image source. But this one doesn't. It's just the background, and you locate the image. That is the difference here. Now, for us also to align the image where we want it to be, we can say let this image be in the left, center, or in the right of our text. At this point, we can also use border to define or to beautify the border to beautify our image. We can use size to make our image look more beautiful. To align this image center, to align this image at the center, we can also say image align. We can say align, or in any way we can now bring this image to be in our paragraph. If you look at where we include our paragraph at this point, okay, paragraph, let's just close this paragraph. They are the same thing. At this point, we can align this image align is equals to, remember when we are talking about align, we talk about left, right, left. Sorry, you cannot use aligning inside the image, but you can align it in the paragraph. You cannot use the aligning inside the image, but you can align it in the paragraph. You can use paragraph to position the image in any part of your browser. We can easily say let this image be aligned to, we say P here, we say P here should align our image. We should align our image to a certain point, either right or center. We can say let it be in center. Image align equals to center. Image align is equals to center. So image align is equals to center. Then we close at this point. Also come at the end of the image and close our paragraph. Then the image will be aligned to wherever we want it to be. So at this point we save, and we see that our image has been aligned to center of our browser. I hope you're understanding this. The other one, we say image, we use IMG SRC to locate the source of our image. This is just a position to, keep the image wherever we want to. But if we want to maybe shift the image to the right, we can also place the image to the left or to the center. I can duplicate this image into 3 and align the other one left. I can say let me duplicate these things from here to here. Duplication, I don't need to continue writing it. I go to another line, I say, and I go to another line, I say, I place it. Now for me to change the positioning of this, I can say let this one be left. I can say let this one be left, and say let this one be right. I can say let this one be left and let this one be right. So at this point you see the difference here. This is left, this is center, and this is right. Don't worry, you see how they are scattered. When we will deal with our CSC, you understand how all this image could be in a list. For now we are only using this image, or when we talk about table, you will see how the image can be on a row or in a column. But for now we are just trying to show you something. So at this point you have known how to either align the image at the right or align it at the left. Also, we can also talk about some browsers that doesn't understand or doesn't read images. These browsers are like Linux or Unix browsers, or Unix browsers that doesn't sometimes read the images. For us to make sure that this browser understand what we are doing with the images, we use alternates. And the alternate we are talking about, the code, the syntax looks like this. The tag, looks like this. The tag we use is equals to, we say angle bracket. You say angle bracket alternate. It looks like this, and we now call the name of the image we want to place inside, like what you saw there, that the name of the image is food.jpg. food.jpg. I have food.jpg, or I can easily call the image name by calling it food. Whenever that browser that doesn't understand that image sees, when the interpreter of the browser sees this name, they will know that this is the name of the image we are referring to. So it's very, very important that whenever you want to refer to the image, you always, when you want to write codes for your image, or you want to place an image in your text, you always use alternate. At this place we use alternate. That is the part of the image source, the path, and the alternate. We can say alternate here, alternate, sorry, we can place it at this end for it to alternate. Let me use capital letter. Alternate is equals to the name of the image. Alternate is equals to the name of the image. I can say food. I can say food here. Alternate is the name of the image. Alternate is the name of the image. Alternate equals to food. Then I save. Now any browser that we take these codes to will always understand that we are talking about an image called food in our design. They will understand that we are talking about the image called food. That is what this thing is showing us. I can also put it in all our design. I can also put it in all our design. Alternate is equals to food. Let me just make this thing a small letter because I've been using small letters. Alternate is equals to food. Alternate is equals to food. It's very, very necessary. Even when we start using the CMS programs, is very, very necessary we know all these things, because it will help us make use of position our images and the sentences where we want it to be. So that is that in image. I've told you how to locate the image source, and how to get it. Now we'll be talking about the path of our image. What did I say? The path of our image. The path of our image. The path of the image, for instance, is if the image is not located. If we are saying the path, we are talking about where the image is located. Now, if the image is not located in if you did not, for instance, if you did not have the image or copy the image to where, like we have explained this thing before when we were talking about image background. If you did not copy this image, if you did not copy those image to the same path where your browser or where your documents are, it's a must that you have to locate where the image is before they can display in your codes. It is very, very paramount. Without those things, you cannot display the image. Sometimes two persons will be doing the same thing, but one person will get it and the other one will not get it. What the second person need to do is just to locate the parts where the image is located. Like what I am showing us this, I had to copy any image I want to use. I had to copy it and name a folder for it, because I don't want it to be scattered with my documents here, because I will also get, when I start going deep into this design, I will have more document in this place. That is why I kept my image here, because I want it to be in one file. So when you are designing a website, you always want your documents to be in one part. so that it will be easy for you to know what you are doing. That is what we are talking about, this image path. You need to know the folder that is housing your image. Is very, very necessary. And when you know this folder, your calling of your image, the image you will not be confused on how to display your images. Thank you for watching this video, and remember to subscribe in this video because more is coming. You see, we are heading to somewhere. You see how we are making progress. We'll keep on updating us until we know that each of us can easily go into a website, or each of us can easily design a website on our own. This is not only it. We are also going to teach us how to use Dreamweaver to design a website. We are only using this notepad because I think it is very, very necessary that as a beginner you start from writing code by yourself instead of generating code from Dreamweaver. So that is why I had to use this notepad for the first time. Now in the next video we'll be talking about links. And we'll talk about links, both the email links, link lists, and all these things. So I will wait for you in the next video. Thank you for watching this video and remain blessed.